All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. My name is Jennifer, and I am Director of Research at the Killeen Chamber of Commerce and the 14 Forward Foundation. And just to give you kind of a little background about what I do and why we're doing this talk today. So part of my job as Director of Research is to help develop a research park and innovation district in Killeen. And as part of that, we're trying to promote the entrepreneurial folks that are in the area. We see a lot of innovation already. And what I've really been struck by with this whole COVID-19 experience is the innovation that has kind of come out of the small business community, especially, and the way that people have had to adapt to this new reality. So we thought it would be really interesting to talk to a few of our small business and nonprofit folks to find out what they're doing to kind of meet this current reality that we're finding ourselves in. So we kind of know that adversity is a great motivator. Unfortunately, along with all the bad things that go out of it, a lot of good things can come out too. So we're seeing a lot of that in our own community. And today I'm going to be joined by Dr. Beth Funk with Life Moves Yoga, Josie McKinney with Let's Eat Texas, and John Valentine, the CEO and founder of Operation Phantom Support. So thanks everybody for joining us. And as we're going through this, guys, feel free to ask questions in our Facebook chat. We'll get to those at the end. And if you are a small business owner yourself, please chime in with who you're with and what you do, and address any of the questions that we're talking about as we go through. And we'll be sure to kind of discuss those as we're talking. And we really appreciate you guys joining us and sharing your thoughts and ideas. So I guess we'll just jump into, I'm going to ask each one of you to kind of take turns talking about your organization, what you guys do, and kind of how that's changed before all this craziness started, and how you've adapted to your new reality. So Beth, do you want to go first?
Sure. Thank you so much. Good morning, everybody. I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you guys. So Jennifer, thank you so much for inviting us. I'm the founder and owner of Life Moves Yoga, and we are a fully dedicated yoga and mindfulness studio here in Killeen. We've been open for about 3 years. So we have classes, yoga, meditation, mindfulness classes every day of the week. And so we had to close our doors down, just as so many of you have. And we are doing a number of different things to try to keep our yoga community connected. One of the most important things that we discovered is that what we provide here on a day-to-day basis has way more to do with than just putting your body in some different shapes and sitting quietly. We realized right away that our members, our community was really missing that sense of connection. So we started out providing some videos for our folks, for our members and other community folks around, and putting those out. But we still were missing that sense of being face to face. And so although I'm not the most technologically efficient person, we decided to jump in and do what so many other businesses are doing, and we are using the Zoom platform to be able to interface with our students. And so we're going live with our classes now so that people can connect from all over the place. And although it's not the same as meeting in our space, it has really been a wonderful way to still reach out to those and remind everybody that we're all in this together, and we're stronger together, and we're going to get through this.
Absolutely. And what has been the reaction from your clients and the folks that have come to these face-to-face classes? Have they embraced this new platform?
Yes, it's actually been pretty surprising to me, because I wasn't sure. This is really a new territory for me, and although it makes a lot of sense anyway to add this into what we were already doing, we had thought about it from time to time, but really were never pressed into actually doing it, and we were just so busy with the day-to-day operations of the studio that we had not added that virtual component or that online component. So this really forced us into doing this. And surprisingly, we've had wonderful participation, which just inspires us to offer more and to do more. So we are setting up all sorts of different virtual opportunities. We have a virtual library that's launching so that people can practice on their own time. We'll continue with the live classes. We're going to be providing opportunities for online book clubs and online gatherings. We have a free event coming up this Friday night where we're partnering with one of our yoga teachers who is also a businesswoman herself, and she is the founder of Bravely Being, and she is a licensed counselor, mental health provider, and she is partnering with us to bring a little bit of normalcy back to our community, and we're going to be talking about different strategies and ways of really moving through this stress and working together. And so I hope some of you guys will join us completely free. But we're trying to provide more and more of these things just so that we can stay connected.
Well, I love it. That is awesome. And we appreciate you continuing to serve the community in that way. So Josie, let's talk about your business and how, what you guys, do or did before all this and how you've kind of adapted the creative things you've had to do.
You bet. I'm Josie McKinney, and I own Let's Eat Texas and Let's Cook Texas right downtown. I can actually see the Chamber of Commerce building from where I'm sitting right now. But the streets are obviously very quiet, and we definitely had to think about how we were going to keep our employees working, help keep their rent paid, and make sure the lights stayed on around here. So things changed very quickly for us when all this started, being a restaurant and a cooking school. So I had a lot of the same struggles being a cooking school as you did doing your yoga classes, and I've been struggling to come up with innovative ways to deal with that, and we've been working on that, and that's upcoming. But I'll address the restaurant portion of it first. With Let's Eat Texas, I found immediately that there was a demand for more than just the takeout dinner. As soon as people stopped coming to work downtown, lunch just kind of stopped. And we had to really think about how to be creative, not just in doing takeout, but in doing takeout that was going to be more universal across the board to feed people that were staying at home. So I developed a dinner kit system, and we're making fresh bread, we're making fresh things like shepherd's pie, things like lasagna, things like meatloaf, and we're doing it all to order so it can be keto friendly. We can do all the vegetarian options. So it really has given people a lot of opportunities to be able to order their dinner. And some people are also ordering these for lunch. We still have our full lunch menu, but the dinner kits have really been what's keeping us afloat. So we had to really think outside the box with that. And we had to come up with recipes, and we had to come up with ways to give people, back some of the normalcy in their life, especially sitting around the dinner table. If you can't go to the grocery store and get some of these things, it's, our clients have been really appreciative that we've been offering them those things to help keep dinner time, at least somewhat normal. I've also provided a few of my customers that have asked for it some grocery items that they just can't get. Since my supply chains are different from theirs, I provide at my cost some small grocery items to people. If they request it ahead of my order time, I can help them a little bit with that as well. So that's been something that's been very appreciated also. As far as the cooking school goes, I've had a lot of requests from my normal students to do virtual classes where we can actually still all cook together, but via video like this. And so that's something we're actually testing out this week with some of my regular customers that have created a Central Texas cooking club around attending my classes. We're going to do our first virtual class. And I was just, we've been setting up a class for the Wounded Warrior program recently, and because of all this, we've had to postpone it. And now he's asking me about how we can tap into that virtual system for that group as well. So a lot of things have changed. And it's funny because I also agree in the fact that there's some things that I might have been doing all along if there had been a need to tap into that. And yet now that I'm doing it, I can't really imagine getting rid of it because it's so popular. And I think it still will be after this is all over.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, and something I was going to bring up later on is that a lot of the things that folks have added may end up staying, and it's kind of cool that you've you've discovered this new, I guess, not just income stream, but way to connect with your customers and the consumers and the public. So it's really neat that you guys are able to kind of take this situation and turn it into something positive in the middle of, what could otherwise be a very hopeless feeling and all that. So, all right. Well, thank you for sharing all that great info, Josie. John, let's talk about Operation Phantom Support and the work that you guys are doing, and I know continuing to do, but maybe in a little different fashion with all this that's going on.
Yeah, I mean, of course, we're all in the same type of conundrum that we're all going through, this kind of not being able to be face-to-face with our people. Us being a nonprofit, we kind of have a family kind of environment here where we all kind of get to know everybody as they come in and get assistance from us, whether it's our food pantry or one of our other programs. Some of the challenges we have is, we have a food pantry. We usually have 400 to 500 people come through each Thursday and Saturday. Unfortunately, we've had to close down on Thursdays just because downtown here in the city, we're trying to eliminate massive traffic and stuff like that. So we weren't allowed to, we basically kind of just made the concession that we're going to just close on Thursdays, but we do still do our food pantry on Saturday. We just had to adjust. So instead of people coming in our building and walking through our food pantry, we prep all the food, box it up, we get it stacked up on pallets, take it out back, and have people drive through our alley behind our building, and then we just let them get out, grab their stuff, put it in their car, and they go. So we're keeping the 6 feet of distance and all that stuff to keep sure everybody's as safe as we can and make sure there's as minimal contact as we can do. But we've fed already, the last 2 Saturdays, we've done over 900 families have come through and got food from us. So our numbers are basically what they were per day. So we're doing a lot right now to just try to adapt. And it's a little challenging, but my team has been amazing. Luckily for me, I only got 8 employees, so we're still under the number of 10, so I can bring everybody in and keep paying everybody as long as we keep getting donations. And the thing that's hurt us the most probably is our thrift store can't be open, and that's a pretty good revenue source for our nonprofit. But we're trying to adapt to that too, and now put things online where people can order it or purchase it, and then they can come pick it up at our bay door and pick it up, and we can work with them that way or have it delivered. So we're trying to figure ways out to continue to bring in income. It's a little bit more challenging for us being a nonprofit because we don't necessarily have a service to provide an individual. It's more of it's a programming type thing we do to help people, but it's not like there's an give and take, so to speak. It's more of they need this from us. We try to provide it based on the donations that we get in. So there's some challenges, but I think with both Josie and Beth, I mean, it kind of opens a business person's eyes to things that we can expand to. Like we're doing trying to push more T-shirt sales on our store online and trying to move things online a little bit more. We're offering more different things to try to entice people to donate and help us out. So there's challenges in all businesses right now for sure. But I'll tell you what, like Beth and Joseph, I mean, they're both amazing trying to adapt to this. And that's the thing. And I think what this is going to teach a lot of small business owners out there that are watching or might be listening is this might put you in an uncomfortable position for a minute, but you're going to learn something that could be valuable for you regardless. Because like Beth, even after this, she might get one of her instructors that's just be the online person that's doing it for people who can't make it, but still want to be able to have that affordability so she can implement that now as an ongoing type of service. And same thing with Joseph. There's ways that lunch menu can, because it kind of forced our hand. You got to take the positive out of the negative, I guess it is. And like us in the military, we always say adapt and overcome. So you kind of got to adapt to this, figure a way out to make it functionally beneficial for both, and then look at, do we need to implement this later when this is all over, just because it gives another value to our business to help people. So that's, I think, the biggest thing that we all have to look at as small business owners is, yes, this is a challenge. Yes, this kind of sucks, but it's also forcing our hands to use our brain and come up with a different way we can approach our customers or our patrons and provide what they need from us. And I think that's a very strong thing for any businesses, because you're going to grow and learn and you're going to adapt to it. And I think that's great that both Beth and Josie have adapted. We've adapted because we're still being able to serve the 500 people. Like we had 520 people last Saturday. This Saturday we had 486 that came through to get food from us, and that's almost 1,000 families that we assisted to have a little extra food this month or this week.
That's so crucial right now when folks are, facing probably, financial challenges of their own in being able to pay for food and also just being able to leave the house and getting the things that they need. So the fact that you guys are still able to serve those people and the community is incredible. And I think really a testament to your determination to, help people no matter what, like you said, adapt and overcome.
You just adapt. I mean, yeah, that's all it is.
Yeah, I really want to touch on the theme that you kind of picked up on, which is that you've got to find the silver lining in a lot of this. You oftentimes, disaster can disrupt our lives for the worse, but it can also force us to do innovative things and things we wouldn't have normally done. So a lot of you guys mentioned that, you had to rush, I guess, into situations that you wouldn't have that you were working on or you wouldn't have thought to do. Um, but do you think you eventually would have made these changes without, being forced by this COVID-19 situation, or do you think it maybe would have come a lot later, if at all?
I'll go ahead and address that. As I mentioned earlier, for us, it is something that we had talked about. Actually, we've been talking about it for the last couple of years. Being in a military community, and so many of our teachers and our practitioners are connected to the military. And so we have a lot of people who were here and then they've moved on, teachers and practitioners alike. And so this really has given us the perfect opportunity to bring these extensions of our community back together and unite. So we had started talking about this about 2 years ago when a number of our teachers, PCS, they were military spouses and they moved on. And we were thinking about, well, how can we continue to provide yoga through these individuals and for them as well? And we were hearing from people all the time about, I live in Virginia, I'm stationed in Italy, we're in Korea, and we miss practicing with our Life Moves Yoga family. And so we have really been able to tap into people well beyond just our Central Texas community here. So I think that we would have eventually moved to this, but I know all of the other business owners out there know what it's like to be engrossed in the day-to-day operations and how much time it takes just to keep your business up and running on a day-to-day basis. This innovation piece can be so challenging for us because we can't seem to find a way to carve out enough time to do it. So this time, it's like it's now or never. And, I always like to say you can't push up your sleeves and get to work when you're wringing your hands. So we all took a few moments of thinking to ourselves, this is going to be hard. How can we do what we do? We're a service industry. We need to be face-to-face with people to do what we do. But we very quickly had to move past that, wishing things were the way they used to be, and moving on to what is our new normal going to look like for now. And so I think it sounds like that's where we all are. We've rolled our sleeves up. We're committed to doing this together, and we're committed to being there for our community and beyond. So I am full of anticipation about what this can bring for us.
That's a great point. Adapting to the new normal and kind of accepting that we can't, go back to business as usual for a while, but what we can control is how we adapt and react to what's happening, and we can either wring our hands in frustration or we can, get our hands dirty and get to work. I real quick before the others chime in, I want to remind everyone watching that if you have any questions throughout this, please feel free to add them to the chat. And if you are with a small business yourself, let us know who you're with, where you're watching from. We'd love to kind of hear from you and interact with you. And again, if you've been with suggestions as well, we're welcome to that too. So Josie and John, did you guys want to add to that at all? We were talking about kind of, do you think you would have done a lot of these things without?
Because I know Josie, me personally, everything was going great for me. I would have left it just the way it was going. But like I said, it's about adapting to the environment you're in and having to adjust. I mean, we were jamming along. Things were getting progressively better for us. So we were our company was just going, you know what I mean? So I was really it took me a day or two to kind of back up and go, okay, figure out a way we can do this. And my team has been amazing. They're like, well, why don't we just have them drive up and we can, I said, you're right. That's correct. So we made some adjustments, but I tell you, I would have stayed the same. I'm not, yes, I'm always looking to advance things in automation and all that stuff, but I wouldn't have changed business as usual type, so to speak. But this made us adjust. And I think, like Beth said and Josie, you get comfortable. And when you get uncomfortable and you have to deal with the uncomfortableness, you got to figure a way out around it. And I think both Beth, Josie, and ourselves, we here all figured it out how we can still benefit and do things. But I think like most people, you'd have just stayed with the status quo if you could have, because it was working for you. So I don't know.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I'm a little bit, I'm a little bit like John in that way. I had a lot going on. I had a ton of catering events coming up. I had a huge sit down dinner event that I was going to be hosting for one of the hospitals. I had the Boots and Buckles Gala coming up with the school district. I was laying awake at night, making sure I was getting everything done for the things that I had going on. And then it was like a domino effect when this started. Everything started getting canceled. And I saw the writing on the wall. I had to cancel classes. I had a bunch of private classes scheduled that, of course, had to cancel, or I had to cancel eventually. And I did some of that hand wringing. I did some of that worrying. I thought maybe we'd have to shut down completely. I wasn't sure how to deal with this problem at first. So I started laying awake at night for a very different reason. And I do think that some people have trouble adapting. And I grew up in a place where adaptation is required in life to survive. Growing up in Alaska was extreme. But I think it made me, the way I am made is that, okay, I have a problem. Now, how can I adapt? How can I solve this problem? How can I keep my employees paid? And so this adaptation that we had to do has been a positive thing, taking positive out of the negative. And I think that there are some things that I wasn't getting around to, and I probably wouldn't have for a while. But now that I'm doing it, I will probably keep doing it.
Well, that's good. At least something good is coming of this. And like you guys said, you may not have been able to really get to the things you wanted to get to, but now you have a lot more time, or you don't really have a choice. You have to do it. And I'm glad that you guys are taking the proactive approach, and hopefully, we can encourage other businesses and individuals who are going through similar things with kind of your example. We have a comment from Facebook. Thank you for sharing or sharing your vulnerability from Stable Life Concepts. Thank you for watching and listening to what we have to say. We do have a question for Josie. How have you been communicating with your clients to keep the relationships going in preparation for after COVID-19?
That's an interesting question, because before all this started, I think I had about 200. I'm still a new business. I'm only 4 months in. So I think I only had about 200 people following me on my Let's Eat Texas Facebook page. And when I posted the dinner kits, for example, when I made that post, my customers started sharing that post. And by the end of day one, I think I had 200 shares. By the end of the week, I think I had 10,000 shares. And I'm up to now, I think, 600 or 700 followers, up from the 2. That wasn't necessarily a huge part of my business before this. Social contact was. And so Facebook has now become a driving force in my business, where, again, it never was before. So thanks to my customers and word of mouth through Facebook, that probably has been the biggest. I've had new customers in that I probably never would have seen otherwise, coming from Temple, coming from far parts of our county to get these dinner kits. Some have ordered a whole week's worth and just come to pick it up. And it's amazing that the outpouring of support. And somebody did say to me, your dinner kits are too cheap. And I saw some complaints about other restaurants saying, why are these restaurants selling things so cheap? Not to me, but in a general restaurant group I'm in. And I just want to say that this is the time for us all to try to do what we can to support other people that are struggling. It's not just our businesses that are struggling. We're all struggling. We're all out of work. We're all having to cut hours. We're all losing pay. And so my thought process behind that was to definitely keep this very reasonable so that people could afford these dinner kits. And certainly after things are back to normal, my prices may increase on those. But I wanted to make sure that it was affordable and that people could, that food was accessible to them in a way that I wasn't going to price gouge anybody. So hopefully that answers the question. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I was actually very struck by, wow, this is really affordable for meal or I got 4 meals out of the kit that I got for $20. I mean, and it was delicious. So thank you for keeping it reasonable for the folks who are struggling and continuing to, provide that service while also keeping your folks employed and the rent paid and everything else.
Absolutely.
We have a comment from Christine. Enjoyed the insight from each of the local entrepreneurs. So thank you for watching, Christine. And hopefully you take something out of this. Before we move on, is there anything else you guys wanted to add as far as kind of how this has affected your business personally, or just what, how you've reacted, what you've seen in your personal business, I guess?
I think the only thing I would like to add really is to say that I know, especially in the restaurant industry, a lot of people are closing or really, really struggling to stay open. They're down to a skeleton staff. And it's a lot of pressure for a business owner that has employees to try to come up with creative ways to keep their employees working. And I just want to encourage everybody to try to think outside the box a little bit, try to come up with special projects, try to come up with other revenue streams like we have. And please, if anybody would like more information, if anybody would like more help, any restaurants out there, it's not about competition, it's about collaboration, it's about cooperation. I am here to help anyone that can use some help or advice. What's happening with us is really working. I'd love to share that. So that's all for me. Thank you.
And I love that collaborative spirit that you have, because this is the time that we all kind of need to come together and not look at each other as competitors, but as resources, really. And that kind of leads into another question we got from Tanita. John and Beth, how have you kept your team motivated and inspired during this uncertainty?
Yeah, I think really the same way that we try to keep each other motivated when things are more quote unquote normal. But really we've gone continuously back to understanding and recognizing like what our why is, like why we do what it is that we do, remembering that we're more than a shell, we're more than a physical space. Although our physical space is really important to us and we want this to still be here when we get on the other side of all of this, we know that it's way more than that, and it's the connection, it's the community, and it's the team. So we have a lot of teachers who are currently out of work, and we know that, and we recognize that, and it's super hard for us as the leaders of Life Movement Yoga to know that. But we have made a special effort to stay in close contact with our teachers. We've provided them with opportunities to continue to provide their classes for our followers out there. We are daily, share a daily text group where we try to assist each other. Look, because the thing is that everybody, in addition to going through what they're going through with their business or with their workplace, we also have family things that we're working through. Many of our teachers are military spouses. They have husbands deployed, right? And they're running the home, and they're trying to figure this out, and now they're out of work, and there's just so many facets that complicate this. So we are on the daily trying to figure out ways of supporting and encouraging and inspiring, just so that people don't feel alone. We've all got to be in this together. And as Josie said, this isn't a time to who's going to beat the other person. This is like, what can we do collectively? I actually got a phone call this past week from a yoga studio owner in Virginia, owner studio of Studio South, just an amazing studio that was really, really thriving. And she was basically calling to check on me and say, what can I do? I've learned some new techniques. Can I pass them on to you? How can I help? It was really one of the most beautiful things that happened for me last week, because although we're all staying really positive, it's been really, really hard. And like John and Josie said, we are doing what it takes, but we are in bed at night wondering, how is this going to work? How can we still come out on the other side? How can we keep our doors open? And so it's tough times, but when we stick together, when we use the technology we have, send a letter, send a note, send something, and let people know that you're still here.
Yeah, that's awesome, and a good reminder. Yeah, check on your neighbors and whether they're business neighbors or your physical neighbors or your family and friends. Check on each other, see how you can help, and that makes a lot of difference, I think, in boosting morale as well. John, would you add anything to that? I know you mentioned you've kind of engaged your employees in some creative ideas. How do you keep them motivated right now?
I think the easiest way for me to keep them motivated is we try to include everybody in the decisions that we're making as a company. So we're not we're listening to everybody. What do you think? What's your objective? How do you think we can make this smoother or easier or better? And I have about, 40 or 50 volunteers that are pretty, steadfast with me and come in. I have to actually fend them off. Like right now we can only take a handful because we're trying to keep this, the 6 feet space distance kind of thing. And we want to make sure we can get very safe. But my team's amazing. I mean, my staff and my volunteers, they just care so much about this community and the soldiers, veterans, and the first responders and everybody that we try to help that it's not really hard to motivate them to come into work. It's actually sometimes I got to slow them down a little bit. But I think the biggest thing for any business owner right now is to be very like Beth's saying, communicate constantly, reinforce that, we might have to cut back salaries a little bit or whatever, but you're still here. You're still with us. We're gonna get through this. We just all have to figure out how we can chip in because, like what Josie's doing and making those meal packs and those things. I mean, those are huge because now $20 can feed 4 people. I got 5 in my house, so I can cut back a little bit on my side. My wife, so the kids are eating. So there's things that you have to do to sacrifice. And I think for your employees to keep them motivated is just keep them well informed right now. Don't keep them in the dark because I think that fear right now is the most tragic thing that's happening in this country because you saw what happened at the stores. Everybody's buying all the toilet paper and everything else. They're freaking out because they're scared. And fear drives people to do things they normally wouldn't do. And by buying all that toilet paper and doing that, they hurt other people in our community because they took away from, HEB and all them didn't catch up to that fast enough and say, okay, we're limiting how many of this and this and this you can get until it was too late when they didn't have any. So fear does a lot of things to people. And I think the best way to combat fear is to communicate. And it's just about keeping your employees and your staff and anybody who's involved in your life personally, even just keep everybody in the loop. Call your wife, your husband, if they're deployed, email them, just let them know what's going on. Because right now, those soldiers that are deployed away from their families, I'll guarantee you, because I did 20 years in the Army and I was deployed a lot, I'll guarantee you they're having more anxiety than the families that are here because they're worried that their wife and kids or husband and kids are doing okay because they're wherever they're at. They don't get to communicate as often as we do where we can just pick the phone up and call each other. So I would say to those families that are out there, just make sure you're communicating with your spouse that might be deployed because reassure them that you're taking care of it. You guys are going to be okay and reinforce it because fear is a very dangerous thing in our society because it makes people do things they normally wouldn't do. So that's the biggest thing. But just communication is probably the strongest key to everybody for their staff, just to keep everybody in the loop. So that's my 2 cents there.
Yeah, great point. And I think I hope that the folks that are deployed or unable to be here physically are comforted in knowing that there are businesses like you all to help their families nearby. That's one thing that we always hear from folks who have been stationed here, whether for the military or just, for other reasons, is that this community really steps up and helps folks when they need it. And we're resilient and we have great businesses that do really awesome things and in times of need. So, we appreciate, all of your thoughts and definitely engaging your employees is a big part of getting through this. Because if you don't tell them what's going on, if you don't explain or ask for their input, they might start to feel, worried or fear that is my job on the line or are we going to get through this? Once you start asking them, how do you think we can manage this? They'll come up with some really good ideas. You'd be surprised, like you said, the things that people come up with, like just something as simple as let's start giving stuff out in this alley behind our store or whatever. People are really smart and innovative when you give them the chance to be. So we have a couple of thank you comments. Love that you all are taking care of our community. Thank you for looking out for all of us and being collaborators. So the folks watching seem to be loving what they're hearing. Again, guys, if you have questions or comments, if you've just joined us, feel free to add those in the chat and we'll get to them when we're able to. And if you're doing things that are innovative as well, share those with us so we can, keep collaborating. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about is kind of some of the changes that you guys have seen other businesses making. How have you seen organizations, whether they're small businesses, nonprofit, big business, whatever, or what they call gig workers, kind of adapting to this new reality. Some of the things that I've noticed are a lot of doctors' offices and dentists and vets even are going to telemedicine a lot quicker than they may have otherwise. A lot of things are going virtual, like I've seen some dance parties and watch parties on Netflix, and I even did a game night online virtually with some friends the other day. You guys have mentioned your workouts and classes, so what other things have you guys seen and been impressed with in our community and just at large that we haven't talked about already?
Well, I will just add, in addition to all the technology, obviously, that everybody is tapping into, opportunities to do, coaching calls and things of this nature, competitions, as you mentioned. But I had something really beautiful that I noticed yesterday when I was walking around the neighborhood, just trying to get some fresh air, where different neighborhood families had added to beautiful artwork on a little walkway through the neighborhood. So everybody's keeping their space, but being outside. And each step of the way, someone else had added some new chalk art. So by the time you got through your walk, there was just this beautiful tapestry of things that different community members had added in, including, positive thoughts and positive mantras. And you can do this, and the day is beautiful, and there are bright things ahead. And I'm excited to go back out on that path today and see if I can see who else has added to the inspiration.
That is so cool. And organic that people just started doing to help beautify their neighborhood and feel better at a time when it's easy to become kind of hopeless and lost in the negativity, I think. So I love that.
Sorry. I was also reading that people were putting up their Christmas lights back. They're like, we're stuck at home. Let's make it pretty. Let's pull out some of our decorations and make things look bright and fun again. But as far as the business side of things, especially in my industry, I've been seeing a lot of innovation as far as a lot of the bigger restaurants putting together grocery packages that people can buy from them. Again, our supply chain's a little bit different, so it's not hit quite as hard as the grocery store aisles. And so restaurants have tried to put together some different grocery packages or different meal kits, kind of, I've seen that coming out more and more since I started doing that with different companies around. And so we definitely are all trying to think outside the box and trying to do our part to help the community and to make sure people are fed at least. So outside of that, I've been pretty much, enclosed here, making my bread, just keep it going stir crazy. So I'm not sure what a lot of other businesses are doing out there, but the restaurant industry is definitely trying to pull some things together for the community.
Yeah, I've noticed a lot more businesses or restaurants are going to curbside and delivery. Obviously, that's their only options right now, but restaurants that wouldn't have delivered before or wouldn't have even thought about how could I make this work, or knocking out windows, or meeting people outside at their cars, just getting creative, or just out of necessity, like partnering with companies like We Deliver and having stuff brought to your house directly. So that's pretty awesome. John, is there anything else you'd want to add that you've noticed or been impressed with as far as reaction in the community?
I think the biggest thing is, just like Josie said, these bigger corporate like H-E-B, the commissary on post, Walmart, they're starting to control, the amount of things people can take out of the store, which is to spread it out. So I think that was very responsible of them to do that, to make sure that this stuff gets spread out a little bit. So everybody's adapting, and I think that's the key, is everybody's adapting slowly, not trying to, because, there's been some incidents in some of the stores where people are taking stuff out of people's carts or whatever. You're seeing that from time to time. I haven't really seen a lot of that here in our area, but the point is it can escalate to that level. I think the stores now and the bigger corporations are taking that step to make sure they're doing their best to make sure that things stay even keel for everybody and the fear factor doesn't push us too far to the left or right. So, and I applaud Josie and all the restaurants in the area that are doing a great job. Like Burger King's got a lot of great commercials right now about how they're doing safe handling, and that they'll deliver it for free, and everybody's cutting their delivery fees out to make sure families still get the things they need or want. but don't put anybody at risk. And I think that's the best thing that we're doing, is just trying to be aware of the situation we're in and adapting to it. So it's been a very positive thing in our community that we're all adjusting the right way and nobody's getting belligerently silly about it. And we're trying to contain where we're at. So that's good.
Yeah, offering new products and services, especially, as a restaurant, is really crucial, I think, to the folks who can't get the food another way, or who just don't want to fight the mess at HEB or Walmart. I know I go a few times to look for something specific, and if I can't find it, I don't just give up, but it's frustrating because you're just like, I just want, flour or whatever it is. I just want one thing of it, and the shelves are completely empty. So we do have a comment from Rick on Facebook. Super idea, Josie, on the food kits. Thanks. Is there a way we can just purchase a few and leave for others who may be in need? It's a really cool idea.
Yeah, absolutely. If you, and I always tell people to, and thank you so much for the comment and the question. I always encourage people to give me feedback, to make special requests. We're making everything to order. I'm a chef. We're a full service restaurant. So we're baking, we're cooking every day. We're making these meal kits fresh and hot to order. And so if there's something you want to get for yourself, for your family, or for somebody else, or if you have special dietary restrictions, please do reach out to us. We're happy to work with you to set anything in motion. And we did also sign up for delivery service, so we have the ability to deliver to people. So anything you guys need, please do reach out. We're happy to help. And if we can't, I'll certainly aim you in the right direction as somebody who can.
Great. And I know we've been talking a lot about food in particular, because that's on a lot of people's minds. So just to remind folks, if you're not aware, the Chamber has been working really hard to develop an extensive list of restaurants in our community and the services that they are still offering. So if you go to our website, KillingChamber.com, you can find this list. It's constantly being updated as we get more information. And if you see one that's not on there that you know about, please let us know. But we are listing, are they doing delivery, carry out, curbside, all the different options that you have for the different businesses that are out there. We're really trying to encourage people to shop local and support the businesses that are still open, because obviously we want them to get through this and stronger than ever at the end when we're all open again for normal business as usual. So.
And Jen, I'd like to jump in on that. I want to say, Mr. Crutchfield and Rebecca Moon and all the team at the Chamber, you guys have been amazing to keep a positive flow. I know Mr. Crutchfield sent stuff out to a lot of business owners about the disaster relief funds and grants that you can apply for. And you guys are doing an amazing job for this community to make sure that people are kept in the loop and kept aware. And I just want to applaud Mr. Crutchfield and his team and all of you, Jennifer, everybody there, Rebecca, Jasmine, all you guys are doing an amazing job for this Central Texas area and keeping everybody informed. And I'm very proud to be a part of the Chamber and glad that you guys are doing as hard as the much as work as you're doing to make sure people know about those. I got the list the other day and I was like, wow, John, I was like, that is a list. So I showed it to the family and stuff. So, it's an important thing that you guys are doing. And I just want to make sure you guys get the credit for all the hard work and even doing this today. You're putting that effort out there for this community. So they need to recognize that the Chamber is there to help this city and to help this community. So definitely, if you got questions and nobody can answer it, reach out to the Chamber because they'll find an answer for you.
Well, thank you, John. That means a lot. We have been trying to do as much as we can, and we know that there's still a lot more to do, but we really appreciate those kind words and hope that if you guys do need anything or if there's more that we can do to help, you let us know. John mentioned a lot of the webinars that we've been doing. We've been doing several on Facebook Live. Those are posted there under our video section. You can also go to our website. And you can find all the information we've been talking about. We have a whole page devoted to coronavirus resources on KillingChamber.com. But really appreciate the shout out there. So let me make sure we don't have any other comments coming in at the moment. Oh, we have one more coming in. While she's getting that up for us, okay, we already kind of talked about, will these changes be permanent? Do you guys have any other advice for businesses and nonprofits who are going through the same thing you are right now? We've talked about collaboration. We've talked about thinking outside the box. Anything else you would suggest to them that maybe we haven't mentioned, or just more on the technical side even that, the not so fun stuff that we don't want to think about, but we have to.
You know, one of the things that I would add here is we are spending such a tremendous amount of time and energy dealing with the task at hand and figuring out how to do this and then bringing it. But one of the things that we're remembering to do on a day-to-day basis is to still think slightly ahead. So we're still looking forward. We're still planning for what's going to happen on the other side of this. And even though there are so many unknowns and we're not sure exactly what it's going to look like, we just keep pushing forward in perfect faith. So in the yoga practice in particular, there's so much paying attention to the moment and then just looking slightly ahead instead of looking back. And so one of the things that is really helping all of us that associated with Life Moves Yoga is knowing that when we get to the other side of this, we're going to be putting newer things in place and we're going to continue to innovate. You know, right before this happened, we got started with a second location for Life Moves Yoga that's supposed to be opening up this summer. And of course, when you're thinking about the timing of all of this and how challenging that is, it's really just almost mind-blowing for us. But we are still looking in that direction and just believing that when we get to the other side, there are going to be amazing things ahead. So focusing in, being really present, dealing with the tasks at hand, but not forgetting to continue to dream about the beauty and how wonderful things will be in the days ahead.
Yeah, and I'll caveat on that. Listen, a lot of people are getting laid off. A lot of people are getting sent home. Just be aware that there are jobs out there that you can work from home. I own a company that helps military spouses find work-at-home jobs. They're call center type jobs. They're not glamorous, but they bring in a paycheck. So it's a way to start to bring in some kind of income for your family. So keep your head up. If you just got laid off, there are opportunities out there. You just have to reach out to the Texas Workforce Commission, reach out to those organizations that are still trying to help people find. I know HEB right now in Killeen and in the area, they're hiring. They're hiring a lot of part-time people just because they want to have shifts of people having a body so they can work these shifts to be safe. But there's still a way to generate a little bit of income. So keep your head up and just reach out and look and ask for people. You know, where is there a job? Maybe I can work from home. I mean, it's not going to be glamorous work. Don't get me wrong. None of it's going to. You'd be on the phone telling, you know, doing customer service type calls. But there's pay. I know my jobs, the ones I have, are paying $10 to $15 an hour, depending on the company you work with. So it's something you could be doing at home while your kids are home too, and da 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 da. So, because I know that's been a trauma too for me. The kids not being in school and they're being home all day. It's kind of had to adjust our adult life because it's not the norm for this time of year. But just keep a positive attitude. And take what people are giving to you. Don't judge it as much as you want to take that, receive it, and use it, and have it benefit your family. I think that's the biggest step right now we can look at is, because I know a lot of people got laid off. A lot of people had to get laid off because certain jobs, they just don't have the type of the environment where they can continue to provide because of the way their model is. But there are jobs out there that you can find that you can just work at home, sitting on your computer right now and on the phone and talking to people and helping them with their customer service calls or whatever. So just be positive and keep your head up, and you'll get through this. We'll all get through this together.
Yeah, John, I think we could do a whole other webinar on the challenges that folks are facing with homeschooling and working and keeping a household going. I don't have personal experience with that, but I have plenty of friends, and I empathize for sure. And yeah, good points. You know, again, people have to be adaptive too. If you do find that you have had your hours cut or lost your job due to this, there are other options. May not be the most ideal, but right now, you know, take what you can get. And then once we get out of this, and to that point, some of the resources that Mr. Crutchfield shared in our webinar on Friday had a lot to do with small businesses and just business in general being able to hire back a lot of those employees. There is some assistance coming in the new relief package. So for more information on that, watch that webinar, research that new stimulus package that was passed, because they are putting a real emphasis on trying to keep people employed or hiring back people that maybe businesses had to let go as part of all of this. And some of it's retroactive as well. So good resources out there. Anything else you guys would add as far as, you know, advice to businesses and consumers to how to kind of weather the storm? Don't hoard, like John said, the toilet paper and the food at the stores.
Don't hoard, stay positive.
Help your neighbors.
Another biggie is too, check on your neighbors. Go knock on the door and back up and just make sure they're okay if they can use anything. You know, saying I brought food over to a neighbor. I know they're elderly, so we brought some food over the other day and made it for them because it's the opportunity to do the right thing for your neighborhood and the people in this community. So just continue to remember that we're only as strong as our weakest link, so to speak. So if we're not helping all the fellow citizens, we're not helping each other because it's just going to make things bad for all of us.
You know, that's a really good point too. If you have extra resources sitting around your house, if you are one of those people that goes and buys in the big, huge multi-packs and you already had some in stock and you're willing to give a few out, take them around and see if your neighbors are running low. I mean, there's people really hard time finding toilet paper in the world, for example. So if you have a lot of something, go around and see if your neighbors could use some of it.
Yeah, great point. Check on each other, wash your hands, you know, just be,
my last
be a
thing is
good.
always gonna be these are the two most deadly things on the planet. If you don't keep them clean, you hurt yourself. So be careful.
Right. And something to point out too for the folks who think they need to hoard a lot of this stuff for themselves, you know, if you do that, the other person that can't get it isn't going to be healthy, and then you're still going to get sick from them. So it really benefits all of us if we all share the wealth and resources that we have. I'll just throw out a few more things that I found when doing some research for this. You know, prioritize what you're doing in your business, what can wait and what can start. Like Beth said, look forward. So there may be some things that you think you can't work on, but still try to have, you know, a forward trajectory in a lot of what you're doing. We've talked about collaborating with other business owners and your neighbors. Start selling online or curbside if you're able to, and make sure if you are going to go online that you're mobile friendly, because a lot of folks are going to be using these devices to order. You know, check your insurance policy to see what's covered. If you're a small business owner, sometimes some things related to this may be covered, not making any promises, but that may be a resource for you. Keep detailed records of everything that you're doing, and you know, whether it's the hours that your employees are working or just the things that you're having to change, make sure you're keeping records somehow. And maybe talk to your landlords or business partners and get creative with them and things that you can be doing to adjust to this new reality. And finally, there's a lot of resources, as we've mentioned, federally, state, locally, and even private assistance available. So we've got a business resource center here in Killeen that is doing great work helping connect small businesses to the resources that are coming out of the federal government and other areas. There's a small business assistance programs. And then your chambers of commerce, of course, are here to help and try to provide whatever support we can. So again, all of that is going to be available on our website, KilleenChamber.com, and just click on one of the COVID-19 links. We will have the videos posted, this one and the others that we've been doing, and a lot of links to different resources that we can, you know, provide for you guys. Before we go, if anyone watching has any other questions, comments, you know, just ideas that you want to share, things that you're doing at your business. And can you guys, the three folks on our call, I guess, share your thoughts for how consumers can continue to support small businesses and nonprofits during this time if they have the ability, other than obviously shopping with you and, you know, supporting you financially? Are there other things you can think of that folks can do?
Well, I think when Josie brought up the point about how valuable the sharing of the social media, how much that has helped kind of get the word out about what she's doing, but not only what Josie's doing, but what is available in general out there. And so we are tapping into these resources, Instagram, Facebook, a multitude of other things that I'm not even yet familiar with. But I would say, you know, sharing, you know, liking the Facebook pages, following along with some of these companies and organizations and small businesses, sharing with your friends has been a tremendous help for us. And that way, as we start to innovate and create new things that can help our community, more people will know about it.
That's a great point. Social media shares and person-to-person contact gets a lot more traction a lot of times than just, you know, what you're putting out there. When other people share it, it carries a lot of weight. Josie, did you have something to add?
I did. It's amazing to see. It's amazing to see people supporting local businesses financially, helping them, and also getting the products that they need. But on the flip side of that, there's another aspect to this. This whole thing has us all topsy-turvy, and I think there's a lot of stress in the world right now, and a lot of complaining, and just a lot of concern. And I think the best thing you can do if you're out there as a consumer is try to be patient with those service providers and try to thank them too. It's hard. It's hard to do what we do, and it's hard making these adaptations and trying to stay in business and trying to serve our customers while still making sure we're protecting ourselves and our families. In our industry, we're washing our hands all the time. We're disinfecting everything anyway. But to amp that up and to just think, every time somebody touches the door handle, every time somebody touches a menu, every time somebody hands us a credit card, we have to rewash everything way more intensely than normal. So it's all about providing that service to each other and also being patient with each other and thanking each other for just doing everything that we can to be out here. I think that's really important.
Yeah, that's a great point. The folks that are working through all of this are out there kind of on the front lines and exposing themselves to a lot of potential, germs and everything else. And even though we're all taking a lot of extra precautions, hopefully, the fact is people are still having to go to work and provide these services. And we really do appreciate that, whether, like you said, it's restaurant workers, grocery workers, delivery folks. The people that are keeping our economy moving are definitely, deserving of a lot of appreciation and patience, like you said. So, and I will say, there's been a big movement. I've been very encouraged, at least on the social media that I've seen, to continue shopping locally, buying gift cards for different local stores. If you're not able to, physically go to them right now, if they're closed, maybe try to buy a gift card now to keep them afloat so you can buy stuff down the road, or buy online. A lot of folks, can shop online now. And then encourage your friends to shop local. And if there's an option for a local store versus a big box store, maybe, they're getting a lot of business. They're going to keep getting the business, but the local guys are the ones that are going to really feel this the most, I think. And then, continue, if you're able to donate to nonprofits and relief work that's being done for folks. John, I know this is something that hits home for you, as with anything in the economy. When things start to go shaky, sometimes donations can be one of the first things to go. So those donations really go a long way, and especially in times like now, that's when it's really needed.
No.
So anything else that you guys want to share that we haven't talked about before we kind of kick it over to closing statement? I think we've covered a lot, and really appreciate y'all's time and thoughts on all this. We have a comment from Stephanie. Remember self-care. That's a big part of all of this, obviously. So yes, take care of yourself so you can take care of others. And a big part of that, I think, is grounding through yoga and things like that. So that helps me a lot.
Okay, life right now. I'm reaching out to you when we're off.
Yeah, for sure. So, okay, I want everyone to go around and just kind of talk one more time about who you are, who you're with, and where people can find you online. And, if you're still offering services in person, physically where you're located. So, Josie, do you want to start?
Absolutely. So again, I'm Josie. I'm a chef and owner at Let's Eat Texas and Let's Cook Texas. The restaurant is still open for carry out. We're happy to do curbside if somebody doesn't want to have physical contact. We can have you pay over the phone and just walk it right out to you. We're definitely on high alert, keeping everything scrubbed down, everybody clean, and making sure all the staff is healthy if they're coming into work. We have our coffee house. We have a small breakfast menu. We have our full lunch menu. We also have delivery now as well. You can find that on our Facebook page, letseattexas.com. And our website, letseattexas.com, our Facebook page. And we're located at 207 East Avenue D, right down in historic downtown Killeen. Like I said, I can see the Chamber of Commerce building from here. So we're happy to, and again, right now my classes are all shut down, but I've had a lot of encouragement from my students to start virtual classes. We're going to test one out this week and try to kick those off so people can sign up for virtual classes. They can come here and pick up all the supplies and go home and cook with me in a situation like this, where everybody's safe, but still having a little bit of social interaction. So I think that's pretty much everything you asked for.
Yeah, awesome. I think you covered everything. And
and my dinner kits, of course. On the dinner kits.
And the dinner kits.
Right. And if anybody ever wants just a piece of the dinner kits, if they just want the meatloaf, or if they just want a shepherd's pie, or they just want some loaves of bread, please reach out. We're happy to break those down, and our prices are very reasonable. We're just trying to keep, like I said, all my staff paid, my lights on.
Right. And you said you are offering some grocery items as well for folks that need it.
Yeah. I know there's a lot of people are struggling to find baking products. I have plenty. I know there's people struggling sometimes to find eggs and different meat products. So if there's something you're looking for that you just haven't been able to get, please do reach out. If I don't have it now, I can certainly see about getting it ordered.
Okay, great. Beth, where can folks find you online, since you're all virtual right now, and once you open, where can they find you guys?
Yep, absolutely. Life Moves Yoga, our brick and mortar beautiful studio is at 2710 South Clear Creek Road, just across the street and down from Advent Health and right next to Bite the Bagel. And we will be back open again once we get through to the other side of this. But in the meanwhile, you can still join us online. Our website is lifemovesyoga.com. You can look us up on Facebook. Please follow us. We have all the instructions there of how to access both our online classes as well as our virtual library, so that you can practice along with us, or you can practice on your own with the recorded videos. We have teachers, former teachers and present teachers that are all contributing to our virtual library to be able to practice with some of the teachers that are no longer here, that are all across the country. There has never been a more important time for you to take care of yourself. There's never been a more important time for you to really tap into the strength that you already have inside of you. A lot of chaos, there's a lot of unknown. When we get quiet for a minute and tap into our internal resources, there's just nothing more powerful than that right now. So reach out to us, let us know how we can help support you, and we're with you, and we're so grateful to our community and to the Chamber for helping us along. So yeah, thinking about all of you.
Great, thank you, Beth, and thanks for everything you guys are doing to help keep folks positive and healthy physically, mentally, and spiritually. Really appreciate it. John, where can folks find you guys, and what are your, I guess, hours? You said you're operating kind of limited right now, but let folks know how they can get involved.
Yeah, our website is famsupport.org. Any kind of monetary donations that you can make right now helps us stay open too, because we're driven that way. But a $20 donation, for instance, gets us about 500 pounds of food that we're allowed to order from the food bank to help feed, this 500 to 400 to 500 families every Saturday. Our food pantry is open on Saturdays from 10 to 2. All we ask is that if you're a military, veteran, first responder, or a family member, you go to our website, check out the information there so you're informed. If you got a doubt or question, you can always email us or reach out to us and talk to us, and we'll guide you through the steps of how to come and get food from us. And it's primarily right now, we've kind of gone away. We used to do mostly fresh fruits and vegetables and stuff like that, but right now it's mostly non-perishable items like cereal and oatmeal and grits and things like that, so we can make things a little bit more. And oranges and apples, we still get stuff like that, but primarily it's that way. But we're always in need of donations to help support our mission to what we do here in this community. It's kind of mind-staggering how many people we help provide enough food for these families. And we average last year we did over 40,000 soldiers and veterans and first responders families that we help with all our programs. So we're pretty vital to this country. And like Josie, we're downtown in the historical district. We're just on the corner of 8th Avenue and C Avenue. I can almost see Josie from my building, but not quite. But But we're all down here downtown in the historical district, right downtown by City Hall and all that stuff. So just come by if you need anything. We're open on Saturdays only, physically right now, but we are very responsive on email or questions that come in. People in need and might need whatever. If we have it, we'll provide it for you. Or like Joey said, we'll get you the person that can. So that's our big thing for this community.
Great. And that's an amazing service you guys offer to our local community. I know you guys have been around a few years, and we really appreciate everything you've done, and especially now in this time of need. So thank you all for being on. Thank you everyone who's listened and commented and participated in this video. Again, you can find all the resources, videos, and everything we've talked about on our website, cleanchamber.com, and there are a few links for COVID-19. You can also go to our Facebook page, but things kind of get shuffled around on there, so go to our video section or just scroll through some of the posts we've had. But cleanchamber.com is where you can find everything that you need, and if you can't find it there, reach out to us. We'd be happy to try to answer your questions. Thank you again to everyone that's been on the call, and good luck to everybody getting through the rest of this. We're in it together, so.
Thank you. Thank you. Namaste, everybody.